the awesome, the wonderful, and gorgeous Robia LaMorte!
I've had a really good time here. This has been really, really fun. The banquet was fun. I got to meet a lot of people, and this is just a good time. This has been good. Okay, what's up? What do you want to know? Ask me questions.
What projects are you working on right now?
I am mostly doing commercials right now. I'm not really pursuing the acting as much. New York Times commercial, I have a Sears commercial coming out. Kind of staying there for pilot season and see what happens about getting a show. But you can all write lots of letters to the WB and UPN. Yes?
Hours that we could always put your neck back on and you could be on vacation.
I know, you never know. I mean, they can do anything, you know?
They let you know ahead of time, like when your character was killed off, they tell you like how far in advance did you know?
You know, I don't remember exactly. They told me, I remember I was walking, I think we were going to a table read, and I was walking with Joss through the lot. And I was like, so what's going to happen this year? He's like, well, you know, Buffy's going to do this, and that's going to happen, and you're going to die, and then what? He's like, yes, it is going to happen. So. No, they tell you nothing. I didn't know until I read the script. You know, and I don't think they knew. People always ask, you know, did they know from the very beginning that you would start out one way and then they would have all these secrets? And they didn't know. You know, that I was just supposed to do one episode. When they hired me at first, it was just for that, you know, I was just supposed to guest star for that one episode. And then I think that they liked the, you know, the chemistry I had with Giles. Turned into 2 episodes, and then they just kept writing and writing and writing, and then of course, you know, they had to have the twist and to my ultimate demise. Yes? How do I feel about it? Well, gosh, dying's never really a good thing. I don't know. I'm glad I died that way. I mean, they talked a little bit about maybe doing the vampire thing with me, but I was not into that. So there aren't a lot of options. But yeah, I know it's different when you're doing it. Like I know a lot of people said when they watched the show, they were just amazed at how brutal it was, and they were like, oh my gosh, it was so shocking. But when you're actually shooting it, it doesn't feel like that. So it's just kind of different when you're in it, because you know I'm standing there for 2 hours basically falling. So it kind of, you don't get the impact of it when you're in the middle of it.
Smell that pizza.
Yes?
I heard that when you came back for amends as the first evil, that you weren't really happy that Jenny was going to be coming back as an ultimate evil. Is that true, and if so, why?
That is true. The question was coming back as the first evil, and that she heard that I wasn't really pleased with that, and why. And I'm about to tell you. Yeah, actually, when they called and invited me back, they hadn't written the script yet. So I agreed to do it, and I didn't really know what I was going to be doing. And then when I read that, yeah, I'm not like your typical actress. Most actresses really like to play kind of the darker roles. And for me, I really don't like to do that. I like to play the good characters. So I don't really like to do too much of the evil side of things. So had I known that that's what I was going to do, I probably would not have come back and done it. So that was not my favorite episode out of all the episodes.
Well, to personally say, I just enjoyed seeing your face back on the show.
Thank you. yeah, like I love that. That I thought was cool. And if they had done more things like that, where it was just, it's kind of me, but it's not me, that I would have done a million more episodes. But people always say, why don't you go back to Angel? But I don't know how they could really bring me back unless I was some kind of ghost or something that I probably wouldn't do. So I need a new show. What? I know, you never know. What? You want to come up here? Okay.
There's a little sweater.
On that show? If I could be any other character, which one would I want to be? Well, probably Buffy. If I'm going to be anyone, I might as well have the whole show to myself and be the star. No, I liked Buffy's character a lot, because obviously, she was good conquering evil, and very funny. They write her very well and very funny. And I love to do action. That's the other bummer. I wish I got to do more action on the show, because I love that. Like, I love Alias. Are you guys huge Alias fans? I would love to get to do that, because I have a dance background. So I'm like, let me do something where I get to, use it and be tough. Okay, I started my career as a dancer when I was 16. When I was 12, I saw the movie Flashdance, and that was it. I was like, that is me, and I'm sure so many girls in this audience have spent time in front of their mirror. We all went home after the movie. I cut all my clothes up. I got a perm. I had big old permed hair, which you can actually see. One of my very first jobs was a Debbie Gibson video, Shake Your Love. Do you remember that song? With a huge big perm and like suspenders and cut up jeans from the 80s with bleach spots on it and cuts on it, and just thinking I'm so hot. It's very funny. So that was one of my first jobs, and then I've done a ton of music videos. That was sort of back in the day when MTV was really getting started.
Videos?
Any band that had like $2 made a video, and I wasn't all of them. And I was that girl. So I did a ton of music videos, and then I actually I went on tour with the Pet Shop Boys in Europe, and that was cool. And then I auditioned to be in a Prince video as a dancer, and he was looking for a set of identical twins, and he couldn't find any twins that he liked, and it just so happened that this other girl, Lori, and I, another dancer, we both looked a lot alike, so he's like, those will be the twins. And they actually called us to go to the callback for the audition, and they said, they're thinking of putting you guys as the twins, so dress alike and look alike. And we knew each other because it's kind of a small dance world, a little community. And we called each other and we were like, I don't want to be the twins, because there's going to be this great huge dance number, and then there's going to be like 2 twins sitting there, like, for like one shot. And we were like, no, we don't want to do that. We want to be, really in the video. So we didn't dress alike, we didn't look alike, we did everything we could to not get it. And of course we got it. And little did we know it would turn out to be this great experience, because we started rehearsing for the Cream video, and there was just a ton of dancing, and we were working with Prince for a few weeks shooting that, which is rare. Usually you do a video in a day or 2. And he just thought of the idea, like the little gimmick idea, that the album was named Diamonds and Pearls, and he's like, I'll name one of these girls Diamond and one Pearl, and before you knew it, we did another video, then another video, and we did an album cover, and that was during the time where he wasn't talking at all, so we did all the press for the whole album. We did, it was kind of fun. He wouldn't speak. They kind of coached us on how to do all the publicity, and we traveled around the world, and then we went on tour with him. And is this long? And then, so I went on tour, and then I retired after that, because I thought, you know what, it doesn't get any better than that. As a dancer, I can keep doing music videos when I'm 35, wearing hot pants, or I can retire. So I retired at 22 from dancing, and then I just started the acting career, doing commercials. commercials and auditioning. My first job was on 90210. I don't know if you guys remember that. I got to make out with Jason Priestley. It was not a bad job, let me tell you. And then, I did a lot of guest stars and then the Buffy job. That is my whole life history. The end. What else? That's it? Did I answer every question in that 45-minute discussion I just had? Yeah. That's not where I dangle it? Is that what you're asking? That line was so funny that I had to love that line. That's one of those lines where you just can't believe that they would write that. And I loved that line. Thank you. She asked how I felt about being the techno-pagan when they announced that I had body jewelry in other areas that we may not know about. when Giles says, I like about the corkscrew earring, and I say that's not where I dangle it, meaning from my ears. It's all up to your imagination, wherever you want to think. But I didn't even know what a techno-pagan was. Because I'm so conservative, I would read stuff like that, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I don't know. I just kind of didn't. People were like, well, did you do all this research? And I didn't. No. Thank you. The thing I loved the most about the show for me was the banter with me and Giles. To me it reminded me of Moonlighting, which I thought was so great. That kind of back and forth kind of chemistry. So when I got the chance to do that cat and mouse, one-upping each other, and I'll be in the dark ages, did you ever leave? All that kind of, all those lines, that to me, those were my favorite scenes when he and I were just going at it, and you could tell we kind of liked each other, and that was the highlight of the show for me. Yes? Oh, he's great. Is Anthony good to work with? Yeah, he was great to work with. It's funny though, because we were complete opposites of our characters. I was supposed to be kind of the sassy, racy one, and I'm totally conservative. And he's the, the Brit, and he's kind of like racy. So, we'd be talking and hanging out, and he'd say things, I was like, oh, Giles, Tony! Because I'm very old-fashioned. He'd give me these books, sometimes he'd give me a little present, or I'd get him something. He's like, oh, I saw this, I thought you'd like it. It was kind of like some kind of crazy, psychic New Age book. And I was like, Giles! So, yeah, it was very funny. We're complete opposites, but we got along great. We had a good time together. Yes? I loved that episode. I thought that was, I wish that I got to do more in it. I thought that was such a fun episode. Thank you. That was the other area. I wish, the show is obviously funny and there's a lot of dramedy, but I wish that I had gotten to do more comedy like that, because that was just, it was fun. It was fun to be on a character like that. And yeah, of course he liked it. Are you kidding? It's his favorite episode, I'm sure. Have you guys met Nick? He likes the ladies. Well, no, he's married now, but you know what I'm saying. He's a flirt. Yes?
What's your favorite Buffy episode? Well, two. One with you in it, and then one without.
Okay. My favorite episode without me was the musical, until I've heard it 875 times. In the dealer's room. It kind of ruined it for me. I'm going to quickly play Hush. Seriously though, the musical, I have to say that grieves me the most that I didn't get to do that episode. Because I would have loved to have some great, Moulin Rouge, Chicago, dance number. How hot would that have been? Oh yeah. I was Jenny, in the classroom, and all of a sudden she gets up on the desk and she's all, and all the boys are like, I just think it could be the hottest number to get to do that. And the favorite one that I was in, probably my first episode. I really love that. I love my character, and that I got to do a lot in that episode, and just developing the relationship between the two of us, and I thought the writing was hysterical just from beginning to end. So that was my favorite to do. Yes. Oh, and also, you're a little late with the camera. What were you doing? Having a snack? I'm done. Thank you all. I also love the first episode because I think they started out my character a lot edgier and kind of sassier. And then as it went on, I think they made me a little bit more, just a little more mature, you know, because I am kind of the same age as most of the kids on the show. So when they started, you know, my clothes were like a little just hipper and funner, and then I got a little bit more conservative, which wasn't quite as much fun to play. So I love the first episode. Okay. Yes.
We know that you're not a techno-pay,
Right.
but you know that I'm
I know how to email. And I've just learned how to do eBay. I went through 2 weeks. I guess everyone does this. Like my first 2 weeks of learning eBay, obsessed. Like every 20 minutes, looking at the bids and like figuring it out. Now I'm done with it. I'm bored of it. Because you know what? I bought something and the guy never sent it to me. So my excitement with eBay is worn off. I know, and I didn't know how to do it because I was just learning how to do it, so I didn't realize before you buy something you should look at the person's feedback. But then when I did, I got to see that he wasn't really responsible. So I wrote him a letter and like, you know, I'm not going to pursue this for only, because it was like $77, it wasn't that big of a deal. I was like, I'm not going to, no, I mean, well, it's a big deal, but I'm not going to like ruin, you know, months of my life being, you know, trying to fight this guy for money. It wasn't like $1,000 or a huge amount. So I wrote him a little email. I'm like, I'm not going to pursue this for this small amount of money, but I don't understand how you can have a conscience that would let you sleep at night. Taking money from people. So I was like, just so you know, if it does kind of, if you feel uncomfortable about it, here's my address, and you can send me back my $77. I haven't got it back yet. But you know what? I tried to make peace. It rests on his little shoulders. So yeah, I'm not good on the computer. I'm really not. I mean, I couldn't change my time. My time was off, and it took me like 2 months to figure out how to do that. Yeah. Well, I couldn't be bitten, or then I would have been a vampire.
Oh, she said the wrong thing there.
What? After I was dead, I didn't pay attention anymore. I didn't know what happened. You know what? I don't really have a personal feeling about it. All I knew is that I didn't want to be a vampire, so however they were going to kill me, they were going to kill me. I mean, I didn't want to be dead. I wanted to still be on the show. But I didn't have a choice in that. And I think they just wanted to do something that was kind of dramatic and that you didn't see coming, and you know, you'd seen a vampire bite 1 million people. So this was like, just no one expected it, and it was, you know, kind of harsh, obviously. But I didn't really get any say in it. Yeah.
You said you have a hard time with evil. Did you have a hard time with the episode where Iron possessed you and the demons?
You know, that was different for me because I don't know how to say this in a way that doesn't sound crazy, but it's like that could happen, in a sense. Do you know what I mean? It's like I was a normal, good person who got kind of possessed and then got delivered at the end. So it wasn't like I was. Just for me personally, I don't want to represent something dark or evil and make it look glamorous and appealing, because I don't support that. So, so that episode was a little bit different because it was like you got to see, you know, me sort of get possessed, and then how that affected the whole situation, and then me coming back to me again. So it didn't feel like I was kind of glamorizing that. Does that make sense? Yeah. And it was sort of fun to do that too, except the prosthetic thing is horrible. I don't know if anyone's talked about this, but you go to the studio place and they put your head in like a cast. They mummify you and they wrap you up and like cement your entire head, and then you just have to sit there while it hardens. And then, you know, they're like, don't freak out. And they said, sometimes people freak out and they just like rip their cast off and like run out of the room. So all you have are little nose holes and your whole head is covered and you're just like, oh my gosh, let me out. So I didn't like that part. But it was fun. I liked that episode because I like to do things where I get to branch out a little bit. So I got to kind of like do a different walk and a different energy, and then I kind of like the little seducing Giles scene, and to be kind of like very direct and forward like that. I thought that was fun. And so I did like that episode. Someone over there? Yeah.
Since you said you are more peers in terms of age-wise with the cast, how did it feel to be in a position of authority?
Gosh, I don't know how to answer that. Because, you know, off the set we all hang out, and then I'm their teacher, so it's weird. It's just weird. But I don't know if I really consider myself in a position of authority. I don't know, most of my scenes, it just seems like most of the stuff that I did was with Giles, so, you know, I didn't have a whole lot of classroom scenes where I was doing stuff with the kids, except when we were like running around, you know, running from bad guys, in which case we were just yelling and screaming, and then I got to be like, I was 15 anyway, because I was just like, ah! You know, so I didn't have to act mature like a teacher, I just got to scream, and so yeah. Yes?
Part of the appeal for me is how close the cast seems to be on TV. And I was just wondering if it's like that offset, or is that close to that before?
Yeah, it was a little bit different for me because I was a regular on the show, so I wasn't there every day. And when you're there every day with the people, it really becomes like a family kind of environment. So I'd be on a week, off a week, on a week, off a week. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, there's a lot of downtime when you're working on a show. So we would just sit in each other's trailers and talk and hang out, and it was a pretty friendly environment. Yeah. Yes.
Since you said you were going to wait for the pilot season, if something did come along, would you prefer to do drama, or would you prefer to do comedy if you got opportunities on any pilot?
I would like to do probably dramedy. A sitcom always sounds like it's a good idea, and then I read the scripts and I'm like, God, this is so dumb. You know? There are so few, most of them are just so dumb. But the schedule is amazing. I don't know if you know, when you're shooting a 1-hour show, I mean, it is all day long that you're on the set. You're there for 12, 14, 16 hours a day. And when you're doing, so your whole life really becomes the show. But when you're doing a sitcom, the first couple days you go in, you just read it through for a few hours, then you rehearse for a few hours, and then you tape on one day. It's like a much easier schedule, so you get to actually have a life, which is appealing. But then I read this material and I'm like, oh my gosh, the humor is so base level. It's like, I don't think I can do it. So I think the ultimate would be something like, you know, something like a Buffy, where it's dramatic but also funny, and then also the love interests. I mean, that kind of covers it all for me. Like, I would love Alias, but I wish that there was a little bit more comedy for me. Like, if there was a little bit, you know, it's so dramatic. I also like that show. What's that new show that's based on the Out of Sight movie?
Karen.
Yeah, Karen Sisko, which I read for, but I didn't get. Whatever. Which I think I would have done a really good job on. But I like that show too. I like those kind of, you know, the kind of in charge, women in charge. So yeah, dramedy. Yes.
Other than not dying, is there something you would have liked to have seen Jenny get to do, or something to find out about her that you didn't get to?
Well, I would have liked to kick some butt and had some good fight scenes. I don't know if I wanted to find out anything. I would have just liked to have more of what I was already having. I would have minded one more, or maybe like a love triangle with another teacher. Like maybe Giles had to fight for me or something. That would have been good. I would have liked that. They could have done a lot more, I think, with that. But, Yes. I am a good Christian girl. And were they married? I don't think so.
They were consummated their relationship.
I don't think they did. I mean, that's so unrealistic. They probably did. That one scene where I'm like, I think we should do something this weekend, and he's like, do you want to go out? I'm like, let's stay in. So, I like to think that they did not. Yes, because it also builds the whole, keeps the fire going. You know what I'm saying? What do you think? Do you guys think that they did? No? He saved it all from Mrs. Summers. Oh, lust. It's over like that. But did he ever find anyone? See for you girls? I held off, and he still was in love with me to the very end. That's right. Don't give it away. For the carrots, girls. Wait for the carrots. What else? No one can say anything after that. All of a sudden, it's like a marriage and sex seminar. Yes. I have a double life. I do kind of like a counseling. I do sort of ministry and counseling. And that's my heart desire. So it's like I get to do the acting for the money, and then I get to do helping people and serving and doing that for the love. And that's why I'm also so particular. Oh, thank you. That's why I'm really particular too about the acting things that I do, because I feel like I can't be that. Just for me, I mean, everyone has a different calling and what they're supposed to do, and for me, acting does not feel like what I like acting and I enjoy it, but when I'm doing it, it's not like, oh, this is what I was built for. But when I'm praying with people and counseling and doing things like that, and I see people getting really touched and moved and teaching people how to come into a relationship with God, that to me is like, oh, this is what I was made to do. So, in order for me to do that powerfully and effectively, I can't be on some set doing a striptease, and then go and pray for people and have it, you know what I'm saying? So it's I just I'm just doing my best to really not compromise what I feel keeps me in a position that I can be the most effective to do what I really feel like I'm called to do. It would. See, I would love to work on PAX. It's so funny because actors all want to do really dark stuff, and I just want a little syrupy, happy series. I don't want to do. I just want to do the nice, the pay it forward kind of movies where everything's ding, making the world a better place. I would love to do something on PAX. That'd be the perfect network for me. Yes. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, hold up. Touched by an Angel, they actually kind of stole my idea. Did you guys watch that show? Or did you ever? I watched it a long time ago, and I actually wrote them a letter, and I've never done this, because I thought the show was pretty good, but all the people on the show were much older, and it didn't have that element. Part of my passion is to bring the whole God factor and not have it look like they represented on TV. All Christians are very conservative, you know, and I was like, why don't you have an angel on there who looks a little bit more like, you know, kind of hipper and edgier and funnier, and she can have a little bit more life force, you know, so why don't you bring someone on who's a little bit younger and like a little street, a little tough, of course meaning me. And then, what you know, a few months later, they hired that kid, that Latin, I don't know if this was a few years back, they hired that like Latin kid who was like in his early 20s, who was like in a leather jacket and just totally tough. I was like, they stole my idea. And they didn't put me in it. Whatever, okay. You know what, I didn't watch the show at that point, so I don't know. Yeah. You know what, I tried to watch a little bit of it, but for some reason I couldn't like get into it. But I wanted to watch it to see what they were doing. Are they doing cute stuff? Yeah, I need to watch that. I haven't watched it yet.
Can you tell us how you came to be a Christian? Because I've heard the story, but I know there are people that haven't heard it that find it interesting.
Okay, this is my last question. He asked how I became a Christian. Do you want to know this story? Okay, it's a pretty good story. Into all the occult kind of stuff when I was younger because I always have believed in God and I was kind of searching for God. And when you live in Southern California and you're searching for God, you find a lot of interesting type things. So I got really into more of that, like, you know, tarot cards and Celestine prophecy and all that kind of belief system. And anyway, long story short, my dad and my stepmom wound up becoming Christians, and they were really doing a lot of ministry with me. And they were like, you know what, we really don't think that that's the right way to go. You know, we really wish you would look into, you know, you're reading all these millions of books about God, but you've never even like read the Bible or even looked at it. I was like, okay, that makes sense. I can't really deny that. So they were like, why don't you just read it and then make a decision? So I said, okay. And I was driving home from their house. They live in San Diego, and I was driving home on the freeway, and I was kind of just having a conversation with God. And I was like, all right, you know I believe in you, but I don't get the whole freaky born-again Christian, big hair, you know, mascara kind of thing. I'm like, am I gonna have to do the 8 layers of mascara? Am I gonna have to wear the funny clothes, you know? So basically I was just like, I don't get it. You know, if this is real, if this is important, if this is true, then show me a sign. Like, make it clear to me in a way that I would understand. So as I'm driving, all of a sudden there's like this huge group of like the Hells Angel biker guys. You know, they're on the freeway, there's like huge packs of them, like 20. And before I know it, I'm in my little car, and it's like, and I'm in the middle of the pack. And they're all in front of me and on the sides of me, and I'm thinking, how ironic is this? I'm praying, and I've got like all the Hells Angels surrounding me. You know, they're all in leather, and the chicks on the back of the bikes. And I look a little closer in front of me, and they all have crosses on the back of their jackets, and it says, "We ride for Jesus." So I was like, oh, God. So that was kind of the first sign, and then I'm telling you, I just kind of got more and more things started happening, and I started kind of reading the Word, and that was how it all began. Thank you guys so much. I had such a good time.
One more time. Robia LaMorte.